Hey, hi, I'm Anurag, and in this session, I will talk about Oracle wait events. So, there are so many wait events, but today I am going to talk about what is DB CPU wait event in Oracle. So, the DB CPU wait event in Oracle is bit unique because it's not a traditional wait event, actually represent CPU time consumed by Oracle processes rather than time spent on waiting. So it appears in AWR ASH report under top timed events, and this indicates that the database is CPU bound. So how we do the analysis, right? So first I'm going to cover what does it mean. High DB CPU time means Oracle processes are spending most of their time on the CPU rather than waiting for IO or locks. This is usually good because work is done. But if CPU usage is too high or excessive, it can be problem that comes to your performance issues. So what are the common causes when your CPU is hurting, right? So high SQL parsing or maybe inefficient queries, though your queries is doing full table scan, bad execution plan, and many more. So these are the things are eating your CPUs. Maybe one more thing like excessive PL, SQL or Java execution inside the database, right? Maybe your application having poor SQL or poor PL SQL, which is using so much CPU, which normally do not do like this, right? Or maybe too many sessions running concurrently. Maybe you are running some jobs, bad jobs, those also eating your CPU as much possible. Like for example, like if there are thousands of sessions running in your Oracle database, so it will definitely consume your resources and that heat up your CPUs. Maybe one more thing like CPU starvation means on the OS level CPU not sufficient to support your load processes, serve your business, right? So that also you have to take the consideration. As I mentioned earlier, right? Maybe application using poorly written your SQLs, right? Which may be missing indexes, your stats is not up to date, or maybe somehow sometimes there is some changes is happens that also cause this problem, right? So these are the common cause. How you know this is a CPU issue, right? So let's talk about the symptoms. So high CPU utilization on the database server that you can check. When you generate your AWR report, you will see database CPU dominating time. Maybe you can see it is higher percentage in all times wait events and it is also consuming too much time as well, right? Also, you can search queries by CPU time in AWR reports. So you will get to know which queries is taking too much time or waiting on CPUs. So now what we have covered, like we have done some little analysis. We have also seen what are the common cause for high CPU on the systems in the database side, and also we talk about symptoms. Now move to the how to diagnose this issue. So first, if possible, we can check AWR and ASH reports. In this report, you will see most of the details which can help you to identify where is the issue. As I mentioned, right, you can check top SQLs by CPU, by IO, by memory. So those things you can check. Then you can identify what are the queries consuming most of the CPU. As I mentioned, right, in AWR report, you can find this very easy. Also, you can check OS level CPUs using some of the commands like vmstat, top command, sar command. So you will get to know the CPU utilization by using this command. So you can do some analysis there as well. After identifying your queries, you can also check the execution plans. Maybe some problematic queries, right? That is also using wrong plan. Maybe they are unnecessarily doing full table scan, or maybe you can also analyze the cost where it is. So that will help us, right, to diagnose and drill down with the which query is taking too much time, maybe using bad plan and those. And also you can check about the parallelism. So too many parallel will eat up more CPU. So parallel is very good to use, but choose wisely, right? How many parallels? So if you using parallel more than CPU available on your machine, then definitely you will cause the issue, right? So in that case, you have to check how many CPUs on your system. Basis on that, you can calculate how many parallels you can use in your queries, or you are using hint, or you are also check some parameters, right? How many parallel server is allocated. So these are the things are very important to decide, right? It is not should not use blindly, right, the parallelism, because it will hurt the CPU. So now talk about some solutions, how we can mitigate uh, the CPU problems, right? So we can do the SQL tuning. So what are the things we can check in SQL tunings? Maybe review the queries. If possible, we can add missing indexes. Better we can rewrite the inefficient queries, because if query is very bad written, then definitely it will cause a problem. So in that case, you have to rewrite your queries which are not good. Also, you can do the gather stats. It is very important. For example, like some of application user is saying like my query was running fine, but it is today running very badly, right? So there will be a reason, right? They have done some major bulk insert, update, delete. That sometimes cause a major problem, right? If your stats is not up to date. So in that case, you can do gather stats for your schema or tables. So based on that, you can check, right? Then coming back to the reduce parsing, this also play very important role. So how we can avoid this? We can use bind variables. We can also enable cursor parameter for cursor sharing if it is appropriate, so we can test. And also this is very important things I would like to highlight here. If any changes you are planning to do in production, don't go directly in the production. You have to check in non-production environment, then you can move to your production environment, because changing parameters in production maybe cause more issues, right? So don't go directly to your production database. So first you have to check or validate in non-prod as much as is possible. Maybe go for non-prod, pre-prod as well, because mostly pre-prod environment is similar to your production environment. Maybe data is here and there, so try to check some delta changes has basis on that, right? Then resource management. So use Oracle Resource Manager to cap CPU for certain workload. For example, if you are doing some backups, you are doing some batch jobs, so you can create the resource manager based on your time, right? Or those. So you can allocate wisely resources to your resource manager. Then you will be better utilize your database. Uh, as hardware side, right, as I mentioned, because if you do not have sufficient compute resources, CPU and memory on your database server, then long story in short, definitely you will face CPU issue, right? So you have to check how consistent utilize your CPU. There are lots of monitoring tool in Oracle Enterprise Manager, or maybe you have Datadog, you have Logic Monitor, there are SolarWinds. So there are lots of monitoring tools available. So you have to also analyze the pattern, how CPU utilization is happening, how memory utilization is happening, and also you can check the AWR report as I told you in beginning of the sessions. So you have to also analyze that AWR report. We have to check the connection pooling if it is utilized. Also we have to reduce the excessive sessions, so we can set some profile limits. For example, like if user is inactive, so it could be kill after some time, or maybe, yeah. So those things you have to monitor, right? Don't open the connection in database, because if connection is open in your database unnecessary, it will use resources, and that will be causing some performance issue long go, right? So you have to choose wisely those things. So let's summarize it and talk about database CPU troubleshooting checklist. So first we have to confirm the issue. How we can do that? We can review AWR reports, active session history, ASH reports, check top time wait events. If CPU is dominating, if yes, then look at the top SQL by CPU time. Check OS level CPU utilization for some command as I mentioned earlier, like top commands, R command, vmstat. Also you can check like verify if CPU usage is Oracle related process or other process, because sometimes not only issue from your Oracle database, maybe some issue from other processes as well. So you have to check it's really Oracle process is causing the issue, or maybe some other process, maybe daemon process, junk process is also consuming so much resources on your OS. So that definitely you have to check. So we already identifying the high CPU consumers, so we have to analyze their execution plan, CPU time, elapsed time. Yeah, so you will drill down detailed which query is taking too much resources, and maybe some respective to the users or application users. So you can talk to them and try to rewrite the queries and those things, that will be help. And explain plan, you can also explain plan is very important to review it. Maybe you need more experience or maybe knowledge to read the explain plan. So you can check if full table scan is going on, missing indexes, maybe poor join methods. So those things also you can check. Also check for high parsing, whether is really happening in your database, so that will directly use your CPUs. In SQL tunings, indexes you can add, rewrite your insufficient queries, gather stats. For parsing, use bind variables, cursor sharing. So these are the things you can check, right? And it is continuous process, so it is not like that you have done and you can finish your job. So for that, again rerun your AWR report after the changes, monitor the CPU utilization trends, and ensure like if your performance is improving, definitely you are okay. But how I am doing it, right? So for example, we have a database, and so I generate the AWR report for good time, and whenever we have some issues, so we can also generate the AWR report for bad time as well, and try to compare it, because this way you will get some comparisons, right? And you know like what normal value for this database is, not high value is normal value, right? So you have to keep AWR report when your database is running fine, smooth, there is no issues reported by any application users, and one report when you have some issues. So it's better to you can compare the reports and easy to find where is the issue. Also, I recommend you can use some tools which are today AI tools like Copilot, ChatGPT, but always use if your organization is allow you. Do not upload your AWR report on open ChatGPT Copilot using your personal account, because if you are exposing your company data, then definitely it will risk you and your organization. So please always follow security guidelines before going outside of the network, right? So thank you for listening me, and hope this session will help you. And definitely, if you are a beginner, then it is good. If you are experienced, then it is good. And you can also share your thought process, how you troubleshoot when you face this database CPU related wait events, or if you see some issue on the CPU side, right, by analyzing the AWR report. Thank you. Thank you.